In November of 2009, Larry Ely Murrilo Moncada disappeared from his family home in Council Bluffs, Iowa, in a distressed state, leaving behind his belongings and causing immense worry for his friends and family. Despite searches, Larry's fate remained unknown for a decade until a shocking discovery at his former workplace, the No Frills Grocery store, finally brought answers to his family's long-lasting mystery. However, even when he was eventually found, questions into how he remained missing for so many years rung loud throughout the community. But what exactly happened to him? Let's talk about it. This is the case of Larry Moncada. Larry Moncada was born on August 22nd, 1984, to parents Victor Murillo and Ana Moncada. Although his family were originally from Honduras in Central America, they emigrated to the United States early in his life and settled in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Council Bluffs is a city located on the east bank of the Missouri River and is the most populous city in southwest Iowa. By 2009, Larry was 25 years old and living in his parents' house in Council Bluffs. Sadly, he often dealt with mental health issues throughout his upbringing, which led him to take antidepressants. Of course, with any antidepressant drugs come side effects. Some people deal with these okay, whereas others don't. Larry unfortunately found himself struggling to deal with these side effects, and they took a massive toll on his mental health. Larry began to have hallucinations. His mother said he was hearing voices that said, "Eat sugar." He felt his heart was beating too loud, and thought if he ate sugar, his heart would not beat so hard. It was clear something was wrong. On Saturday the 27th of November 2009, the day after Thanksgiving, Larry ran out of his family home in a distressed state following an argument with his parents. Iowa that year saw a massive snowstorm, which was even more concerning as Larry left without adequate clothing or even his shoes. He also left his phone, keys and car behind too. His parents were worried, but Larry had done this before. They thought he would come home that night and had no other option than going to bed. When Larry failed to return home, his parents, alongside a friend of Larry's, went out to search for him. The family also reported him missing to the police. They told the police that he had recently started taking new medication and that it was making him act irrationally, and that he was most likely somewhere he knew, a safe place. Officers checked with other family members, detention centres, other law enforcement, and even the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Agency, but no one had seen Larry. His father said, "We went out to find him, my wife and I. We got up early and couldn't find anything. It felt like the earth had swallowed him whole." Despite this, his parents still believed he was in a place that he knew. His parents never gave up hope. They continued to search for their missing son, but it was no use. His mother always had a nagging feeling that her son was at his old place of work, the No Frills Grocery store, in which he had worked most of his adult life. She would often venture there, but couldn't find him. After a few weeks, the police would call off the search, and the family would go without answers until early 2019, when the shocking and tragic truth would finally come out. The years went by, but Larry never returned home. His parents never gave up hope, however, and they still believed one day they would find their missing son. As stated before, at the time of his disappearance, Larry was working at the No Frills Grocery store. No Frills is a discount supermarket chain from Canada, known for offering low-cost groceries by reducing services and focusing on essential products. Although most of their stores are located across Canada, they do have a few in Nebraska and Iowa. Larry had been working there for 5 years and generally seemed to enjoy it. He made friends, and it gave him the opportunity to focus on other things rather than being lost in his own thoughts. It was stated many times in the media that after his disappearance, Larry's parents were always drawn to the store. They believed their son was there, although they could never find him. However, in 2016, 7 years after his disappearance, the No Frills grocery store in Council Bluffs was closed down, and the building was left vacant. 3 years later, on January the 24th, 2019, contractors were employed to remove the freezer units inside of the store. Whilst removing one of the tall freezers, the contractors were absolutely shocked to find a mummified body behind the freezer, wedged against the wall. In disbelief, the worker who found it called over his co-workers, who also could not believe what they had found. Emergency services were rung and arrived at the scene quickly. Although the police had a hunch, they had to confirm who the body belonged to. A few months later, the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation, the Iowa State Medical Examiner's Office, and the Council Bluffs Police Department announced that the body found earlier that year at the old No Frills supermarket had been identified as Larry Moncada. The mystery was now over. Larry had been found, but now another question rung loud. How on earth could no one have found him over the 10 years that he was missing? They were able to determine the body was his using DNA from his parents and the clothes matching what he wore at the time of his disappearance. An autopsy concluded that his death was accidental, with no indications of foul play or trauma, which led to authorities closing the case rather quickly. His father said, "Our heads are spinning, finding this out after so many years, and it is distressing. It makes us feel a lot of pain." They were also rightfully angry and demanded answers from the authorities. It came to light that ex-employees reported to the police that staff frequently climbed on top of the freezers. They did this to hide and relax, and to get a break from their jobs. Although police did search the store a few days after his disappearance, the back rooms were never checked. The fact that no one checked there is absolutely insane. With this information, the police pieced together what happened that night, claiming that the night Larry ran out of the house, he made his way to the No Frills store. He then climbed on top of the freezer and fell into the 18-inch gap between the wall and the freezer. The freezer was 12 feet high. Larry ultimately got stuck and most likely died from asphyxiation or dehydration. The sound of these freezers was so loud that no one would have heard his cries for help. They also thought the dry and cold conditions near the coolers had mummified his remains, which could have masked the smell. According to an article on Medium.com, Larry's mother wanted to check every corner of the No Frills store after her son went missing. However, management at the store told her she was not allowed, and they never came forth with any information prior to the discovery of his body. She said whenever they questioned them, they were met with silence. Although police claim the smell could have been masked by the remains being mummified, this was not the opinion of the store visitors. Storegoers would often claim there was a foul smell in the shop. One said, "I grew up in that town. The smell was awful. I literally left the store." Another said, "I shop there all the time and it smelled horrible. I even asked the butcher one time if the back area was dirty with dried blood from cutting the meat, and he said no, it was really clean. It smelled for a long time." Although complaints were made, they were ignored by management and staff. Management were questioned why CCTV footage was never checked, and the police were told that it was because he wasn't scheduled to work that day, and ultimately the footage was lost over the years. His death was marked accidental, and no one was blamed. Sergeant Brandon Danielson said, "You don't hear about these types of cases, like people found in walls, especially in this area. We have missing persons all the time, but this is unique." I hope Larry's parents have found some kind of peace. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. I can't believe that the store was never actually checked properly, especially as it was common knowledge that this was a place employees would go. Let me know what you think about this case in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.